Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Live Lounge. I'm Caroline Crawford.
And I'm Paul Crawford.
And tonight's show, Christina is going to be joining us a little later on. And our show is all about living life with more purpose and meaning.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what a great, exciting night we have for you tonight. So to get the ball rolling and kick us off, Caroline, would you like to share us what your thoughts are on bringing more meaning to the purpose of your life?
Yeah, well, I feel that we are all born with a purpose. We come from the spirit world, we're born into this physical life, and I feel our greatest purpose is to connect to that part of us that is divine, our true nature, and find moments to expand upon that, to expand our consciousness so we can rise above the polarity and the isms and schisms, if you like, of life, to find in that expanded divinity and consciousness within us to help us live a life with more meaning and with more purpose, and definitely with less judgment. But I feel that, you know, having a purpose in our life, it has multiple benefits. I feel that it helps us to stay focused on what matters in our life. And by doing that, that then allows us to have less distractions, because when we're focused on a purpose, we are less likely to be distracted by things that are not so meaningful, that are maybe a bit frivolous or futile. And by having a purpose and meaning, as I say, that helps us remain a lot more focused. Also, I feel that it helps you have clarity, because it helps you stay on course. When you remind yourself, you know, that you're doing things for a reason, you're doing things for a purpose, it helps you feel and stay much better on course.
Yeah,
Do
definitely.
You think that?
Well, I think if you've got goals, you're more you'll be more driven towards them, and as you say, you'll be more focused towards them. So whilst you're but I know when you're saying it, but it's being about being relaxed with it as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But I think, and also you achieve more if you set yourself goals.
Yeah. And I think also having a purpose is accompanied by our values, and values are our sort of guiding force in life, aren't they? That form an integral part of our decisions we make on moving us forward. And by having that, it also helps us define what our goals are, define what our aims are. And, you know, when we have that value, it sort of guides us towards what feels right for us, or maybe what's not right for us. And again, that then can instill a sense of greater confidence and trust in ourselves.
I think definitely. And that's what life's about. It's about building that confidence. It's about, and then that confidence actually allows everything else within you to be expressed in an easier way. And it's giving yourself that permission to allow yourself to grow and to follow what it is that you love doing. You know,
I think to be who you are, you know, we're all born as an individual soul, although we're part of the collective consciousness and all connected to the universe. As Paul said, everything's interrelated and interconnected. We're here as an individual soul, as we are in these bodies of ours, to be who we are, to shine our light, to trust in ourselves, and to expand our awareness, expand our knowledge. And I think your passions and your purpose in life are always what bring you joy. They always make you happy, you know, and when you're feeling happy, I think that drives you to being a better person, to being more true to yourself. I was going to say something that I know Paul wants to talk about, but I feel that, you know, driving yourself forward with things that make you happy is a really lovely way to experience more joy in life.
Yeah. And I think really, you know, it's that asking yourself, what is your passion? You know, what brings you joy? What brings you upliftment? What motivates and energizes you? and you find that it will be your passions. So whether you want to follow those passions full time and do, all the time, or if it's something you do on a part-time basis, or just every so often, but really it's just allowing yourself to actually at times to follow your life purpose, that purpose that really generates that interest within yourself, because it awakens your energies in a much brighter way. And it actually allows, then you find that people who follow their purpose, it brings a greater satisfaction. And people have a much easier flow to their life, a greater flow, but it's a real easiness with them.
I find that when I lay in bed at night and you reflect back on your day, the things that have brought me the most joy are acts of making somebody else smile, making somebody else feel good, being in the company of like-minded people. And I think also when you follow your purpose and have more meaning, we say that, don't we? We put our heart into things, we put our soul into things, and we then feel a greater sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. And I think it also encourages a commitment to ourselves, to what we do, and to see things through. I know when we're younger, we perhaps do a bit of this and a bit of that, but I feel, as you find what it really is you enjoy in life, your calling or with more purpose, then you're more committed, and that unfolds to greater wisdom, greater learning, greater understanding. And I know that, at the moment, a lot of our friends, bless their hearts, in the UK and England are on lockdown again. I mean, thankfully in America at the moment, we're not, but who knows in the future, because things are still sort of very up and down. But, I'd say to our beautiful friends and family in England that use that time for self-reflection. Use it for a time where, you can experience the things that in your normal, everyday, busy life, you just don't have time to do. Explore things on the internet. I love watching YouTube and gaining more knowledge on things I like. Also write in a journal, that can uncover things that will give you more meaning and more purpose in your life. And, for those on lockdown, even exercise. I mean, there's just millions of great things on YouTube that you can use to keep you occupied, and to keep you stimulated. That's the main thing.
It's that stimulation. It's keeping your energies higher so that you're focusing more on what you want rather than what's missing. And I think that's a key thing as well, to finding that life purpose within yourself. What's going to bring you to being more joyful with what you're doing. And it's then just allowing yourself the flexibility to also to maybe change directions. As we said, set goals, be more focused, follow that, but also be flexible, because who you are as you move on in time is different to when you started your journey, which means that you may need to make, or may want to make, different choices. And that's fine. So then choose new goals and new perspectives, that you are making choices from that present moment to bring about that greater meaning to your life. And I think having more meaning to life is very much, I think you're just more joyful. You have more value to life. So, and they do say as well that actually, if you can define what it is that you think your life purpose is, can actually keep you more focused as well. So Caroline, if you had to create a life purpose statement, what would that be for you?
Well, for me, I have always really loved and enjoyed uplifting, inspiring, teaching others to be aware of that energy, that infinite potential that we all hold within, and to give them methods to find that, not to tell them what to do, because to me that's controlling. But, as we excel as individuals, we can then continue to inspire others. So again, it's that ongoing loop, but, to empower other people give them ways or signposts to find that energy within, to find the answers within themselves, to be aware of that inner power, and also to give people evidence that life goes on beyond the physical. Because to me, you know, we came here from the world of spirit, we return there, and this is just a very short part of us learning to be more loving, to be more of our true nature, to expand our consciousness. And that's the sort of thing that, you know, every day inspires me, you know. And I know our ancestors, our guides, our teachers, our masters in the non-physical are always with us, whether you realize that or not, whether you know it or not, it doesn't really matter. But, you know, we are spirit, we have a part of us that is a higher consciousness, and giving people ways to tap into that, to their true potential, and find their happiness and create more happiness and fulfillment in their lives gives me a massive, I have to say, a massive buzz.
But I think that's it. So you're actually being a facilitator for others.
Yeah.
And
what would you say, if I'm going to ask you now, I'm going to put Paul on the spot. So if you had to make a life purpose statement, what would you say is yours, Paul?
Well, for me, I think the key element is being more kind and loving. And I think everything for me starts with yourself. So if you can generate a greater self-kindness, a greater self-love, then that energy permeates everything that you do, every thought that you have, every action that you take. And actually then you project that onto others. And if you allow in yourself to instill greater love and greater kindness within you, it's almost like it's that unseen permission of then giving permission to others to do the same, and allowing them to follow their life pathway, and generating that greater meaning. But it very much is about also serving, being of service to others. I mean, first you need to be of service to yourself, and then of service to others. And that's where I think that facilitating aspect comes in. And it brings you so much. You're not taking credit for what someone else is doing, but to see somebody else living life with a greater joy and a greater meaning actually gives you a great satisfaction.
Well, nothing makes me happier than seeing other people happy as well. You know, we find a great deal of happiness by, you know, being at peace with ourselves. And I think peace and tranquility can arise from living a life of more purpose, because you're doing what is right for you. And it always comes back to this, being at peace with yourself, allowing your life to unfold to those many, many layers that there are.
So in terms of life purpose and finding that greater meaning to it, what experience or story would you like to share with us?
Okay. Well, I'm going to try and make this as short as I can, because sometimes it is quite difficult trying to attain that. But I'm going to go back when I was just 2.5 years old, and I know because my mother and I checked the date, but my great grandmother Charlotte used to share the house with my grandparents, and my mother used to take me to see her. And she was very elderly, my great grandmother, and it was a house where the passage ran from the front door past the 2 living rooms, the kitchen, into what we called a back room. And I would run straight along, go and sit on her lap, because I always remember in a chair by the big coal roaring fire. And I would sit on her lap and she'd tell me stories. And you know, we had a close bond, even at that young age. And one day my mother took me there, and my nan and my mother stood in the way in the passage. She said, "No, you can't see Nanny today. You can't." I said, "Why? No, you can't see. You must go upstairs and play." They were very insistent. So off I went and played with some toys in an upstairs room. And while I was playing with these toys, my great grandmother appeared to me as physically as Paul is sitting here now, and said, "I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm in what you call heaven, and I will always be with you." And I just thought, okay, and just carried on playing as a 2.5-year-old does. But when I went back downstairs and told my nan and my grandmother, who stood in the way again, no, I said, why didn't you tell me great granny had gone to heaven? And they were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I've just seen her and she's fine. And they, you know, they were sort of kept that a little bit suppressed, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it was only, in later life when I brought the subject up, because we did used to still talk about my great grandmother on occasions. And I said to my mum, do you remember that? She said, I remember that clearly, Caroline. She said, and the reason why we kept it a bit quiet, because great grandmother also had that gift of, you know, communicating and clairvoyance. And she said that, you know, you could sometimes be a little bit ridiculed or, you know, put out, and we didn't want that to happen to you. So, but then going on, when I moved to London, it was much more greatly accepted. And I always had this connection of communicating, whether it was telepathy or what it was, you know, with animals. And I'd always know if people were a bit low, and I'd want to uplift them and make them laugh. And I still do that now. But I then had, I was diagnosed with precancerous cells. I'm going to cut a very long story short. I went to a healer, which I didn't really know exactly what that involved. And it was actually my older sister, Christine's mother-in-law. And I went for healing. I thought I'd be there half an hour. I was there 3 hours because I had this massive life-changing experience.
Wonderful.
Where, I mean, she gave me this. I'd never experienced energy like that. It was honestly quite mind-blowing. Paul knew what I was like when I left there.
No, it was. I mean, you were like, it's almost like floating. You were that elated from it all.
I was. And she very kindly looked up where my closest spiritualist church was in London, because I was living in London at the time. And I went along and because she said to me, do you realize you're a natural born healer? And it had such a profound effect on me. I had tears rolling down my face, because I thought, God, there'd be nothing else I'd really want to do if I could help other people on a deeper level. So I went to the church, and I was just embraced so much. It was so wonderful. And I worked with the head healer there. She was more than happy to take me on. And she said, but I tell you something, Caroline, she said, I can sense something very powerful in you, and you must sit in the mediumship development course. And I hadn't told her anything. So I did. And, you know, to this day, and when I say I laugh, I don't mean it in a silly way, but there'd been people sitting in this development circle to develop their mediumship skills for years, and, you know, didn't really get anything, bless their hearts. And I went the first week, Paul's laughing when I came up, and I was just rolling off all this evidence of people that I'd seen in spirit, given their names, where they lived, you know, evidence that I couldn't have pulled out of a hat. And I was just giving all this evidence, and that just happened week on week on week. And I was invited to work on the platform. They said, you know, wow. And that with the healing was just, you know, my commitment. I was completely dedicated to being the best I could be, to develop myself as well as I could. So I, you know, whatever I do, I want to be good at it, to do my best.
But that's something you've always done, though, isn't it? And you followed that through even today. I don't think there's a day goes by where you don't think of some like some expansive, some spiritual element, or sending out love to a situation or something like that.
But it's part of me, you know. I can't separate what I do, you know, and what is. It's all that intricate part of my soul, of my spirit, and of what I truly love doing. So,
but I think that's an important part, that you say there, it's a part of you.
It is.
And it is. And like you said at the beginning, you know, everything is linked together. You can't separate it.
No.
And who you are is a fundamental part of expressing yourself in this physical life.
I will just add that I must say, it hasn't always been an easy path, because I think part of growing spiritually and developing these skills and, you know, your gifts, talents and abilities, you have to go through a lot of growth, a lot of letting things go, a lot of shaking of things up, you know, but I wouldn't change anything, honestly. You know, my work to give people hope, to uplift people, has just means so much to me. So Paul, what would you like to tell us about the story of finding your life purpose?
Okay, well, there's really there's different parts of my life where I've found my life purpose, or had it renewed in some shape or form. And I think that kind of links back to what I said earlier about allowing yourself that flexibility to go in a different direction when you want to, when you feel you need that inner guidance is directing you to do that. But my story is when it leads back to when we were obviously living in England, but my dad was living in Kansas, and it was the ending of his life, or the past aspect of his life.
Yeah.
And so we came across and we spent some time with him. And after his passing, I was traveling back home, and I remember I was sitting on the plane going back to England, and I suddenly thought, life is really precious, but it's also very short, and it's too short to waste doing something or following something that you're not happy with. And at that time, the job that I was doing, it was in construction. I was enjoying it, but then it changed, and I thought, do you know what? Life's too short. I need to make a change. I need to follow. I still stayed in construction, but I allowed myself to make a change.
But your life was very hectic in that field. You know, you're often
really
working
hectic.
12, 14-hour days, I remember, which
But
didn't
also,
give you the space to think.
But what I did was I found a job doing the same thing, but it was where I felt more valued. I had a much bigger say, a much bigger input, and that brought a greater meaning to what I was doing at that time. It brought a greater meaning to my life. But also, this, in conjunction with this, we was also running our own healing courses, meditation groups, and that was always going to be my ultimate goal. And because when I was working in that environment, it was such a more supportive and loving energy, and I knew that was my inspiration. I knew that was where I wanted to head towards: more teaching, more writing, and more healing.
I think it's lovely seeing people, when the healing courses, their lives just completely transform before your eyes, don't they?
It is. And that's part of it. You see that change. You see change within yourself. You see change within others, and that spurs you on even more, because it's bringing about that more upliftment.
And I think you know, as we uplift each other, and I think at this time, with everything that's going on in this world, it's really important that we find a purpose, that, you know, we are kind to one another, that we understand some people at times are having a bad day, that might be feeling out of sorts, that might even be a bit angry. But I think it's important that we remember to come from our heart, to just be kind, sometimes to just listen, and to not get drawn into other people's, you know, not battles, but into that negativity sometimes. Bless them. So I think being kind at times when it's very difficult, it also helps us feel better about ourselves, and that's so important. You know, sometimes you can look back and think, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. But, you know, I think be kind and just reach out. Lifting one another up is such a wonderful thing to do, even if a life purpose is to make somebody smile, to help somebody across the road, to make that person working at the supermarket smile and feel valued. You know, that is such a good thing to do. But
life is a great gift, and however you feel that it's your purpose to do that, then follow it. Allow yourself to that inner guidance to go towards achieving that.
And on days when you don't feel quite so good, put some music on, have a boogie. You know, I love putting my soul music on, a bit of reggae,
do a little spin.
In fact, the other day I said to Paul, let's have a dance round the lanai. You know, you've got to keep your energies uplifted, because there's times when you know, the outside world can get to you a bit if you're a bit sensitive, and that's when you've got to just try and look at that bigger picture and just remember things are changing. But we're going to go over to my lovely, beautiful soul sister, Christine, who's out there in Arcadia. And Christine is going to be talking about finding your purpose, using a tool to take you to a deeper level of authenticity. And I can't wait to hear this. So, beautiful Christine, are you there? Can you hear us?
Hello, everyone, beautiful souls. I am so happy to be with you. And I'm sorry I can't join you with video tonight. So you're just going to have to look at my picture and listen carefully to what I would like to share with you. Thank you, my dear. So what I wanted to share, I loved everything Caroline was talking about, and Paul, and thank you so much for your stories. I always love hearing them. And I agree a lot with what you're talking about, because I know if I can talk about any challenges maybe that I have had with life purpose, I think I always thought, first of all, it was an absolute, like it was the thing you were born with and you were supposed to find it. But I think I've recognized that it's more of it can be more of a process, like it's an unfolding, it expands, as we learn more about ourselves, and, it gets deeper, or it gets more specific, or it grows in different directions. The other place where I found that I got, maybe it's not necessarily stuck, but I think I just got to have a greater idea of purpose. When I first thought of life purpose, I thought it was the thing that I did, like whether it was my profession or something like that. And although that can be part of it, the part of it that really makes what you do so important is because the life purpose is deeper meaning is your way of being in whatever that thing is that you're doing. Because in the end, maybe it's not your thing that you're doing that is the ultimate purpose, but it's that way you are being in that thing that you're doing. So that is why I chose this exercise, because what I have found is and it is so simple. And I have an example, but I only went through part way with the example. So I'm just going to share the example. And don't you all forget that we do have our show notes on the website at soulcrew.biz. So if you didn't take notes fast enough, don't worry. All of this is written and it's up on the website with even some extra details. So you'll find it over there if you didn't catch it all. So what this exercise does is, I believe it helps you get to sort of like the true essence of your purpose. So, life purpose is unique and individual for all of us. And it doesn't necessarily remain static, because it's going to evolve and expand over time. So one of the aspects of giving your life purpose the space to unfold, it's to be open to a deeper understanding of who you are, to delve into exploring your authenticity. And from this foundation, you can get more clarity on your life purpose, and it can reveal itself to you. So here's the tool. It's called the 7 Levels Deep tool. And what you do with this, it's so simple, but it is so powerful. The first thing you do is you choose your question. This is like your foundational question. And you can use this for anything in your life, but the way you use it for life purpose is that you start with, as an example, your first question is, what is your life purpose, or what's important about your life purpose? Okay, but what I did is I started with an example. What do I think my life purpose is? And one example I thought of is, I feel my life purpose is to rescue animals. So that was where I started. So this is the first question, and this is what you do. Each time you take this to a new level, you ask the same question. Why is that important? But you do that 7 times. 7. So my first question to myself is, right? I feel if my purpose is to rescue animals, why is that important to me to rescue animals? Well, I came up with, it's important to me to rescue animals because they need to be loved. So then you ask, why is that important? Why is it important that animals are loved? It's important that animals are loved because they have so much to give. So why is that important that animals have so much to give? Well, it's important that animals have so much to give because that giving nature creates beautiful bonds between humans and animals. Well, why is that important? Well, that's important to me because when these bonds are created between humans and animals, it promotes togetherness and mutual respect. Now I'm going to pause there because, we're on a limited time, but can you see how I went from, thinking that and rescuing animals may be a life purpose of mine, but it's getting deeper to what's really important to me about togetherness and mutual respect. And, you know, you go a few more levels deeper than that, and you're going to get some really amazing insights. So I put this formula up on the website under the show notes so that you can write that down if you weren't able to take those notes. And just know that, you know, I know for some people, you might answer the first, as you're doing these questions, you might answer the first thing that pops into your head. But for other people, you might have to sit and think about each answer. And it doesn't matter, however it works out for you. So I encourage you to try this exercise and allow it to give you a deeper insight into your inner self so that you can have more clarity and vision. And then that way you will find to live your true purpose.
Oh,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Clarity and vision. What great words and values they are. Thank you, Christine. And as she says, all
Thank
that
you
will
so
be
much.
all that will be up on the website. Thank you so much. Another great input from you. Take care.
I always love being with you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, we love you.
Yeah.
Mwah.
That's great.
Oh,
Mwah,
bless her. So now we're getting on to our tips and techniques, and I'm going to give you 3. So tips and techniques to help you find more purpose and meaning in your life. My number 1 tip is one of my favorite things for all kinds of things, goals, desires. Set your intentions. This is a really powerful thing to do because you're sending out a clear definition to the universe. And you can also, by setting your intentions, I would say write them down, because that just gets it out of your head, and it does, like Christine said, it will clarify things and it will help you with that vision. And to help set your intentions, to keep you reminded of those, we have one in our bedroom. We've got a vision board, where you cut pictures out of things you like. But we haven't just got things on ours. We've got positive statements and things like that we want to move towards. You know, it may be becoming the best we can be, being a best-selling author, you know, whatever. You can write little affirmations and goals on there. And that, you know, and I like it in the bedroom, because when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you can look at. So set your intentions. And number 2, drop into your heart center, because this is where your soul expresses itself. And your soul came with purpose. It has a great knowledge and a great wisdom, and it always wants to assist you and guide you. So drop into your heart and just be in that moment. Listen. Take some time out to drop into your heart with maybe a walk in nature, because if you're in lockdown, you can still do all of these things we're going to say to you. Have a walk in nature, connect to that stillness. You know, even looking at the cycles of nature can be very inspiring. And then number 3 is ask or pray. So whatever you pray to, it might be God, it might be Great Spirit, it might be the universe, it might be the sky or the angels, you know, it doesn't matter. But send out a thought, a prayer, to ask to help you to find greater purpose, greater happiness, and greater meaning in your life. Because when we ask, we're opening a doorway, we're opening a gateway to say, bring these things to me. I am open and receptive to receiving, you know, that energy, that vibration we've spoke about in previous shows. You know, sometimes a thought will come into your mind and you'll think, and you'll just catch that thought and you'll think, oh, that's a good idea. So ask and pray and be open and receptive. So set your intentions, drop into your heart, ask or pray. They're my 3 top tips.
Hey,
Paul.
three great top tips. So my tips for tonight is that our soul is always there to help guide us. It always wants the very best for us.
It does.
So it's really just allowing yourself or giving yourself permission to follow that inner guidance, because it's always there. It will always be there. We just have to listen to it. And it's there because it's supporting and loving of ourselves. And in doing that, just keep going with that and keep following that and keep trusting and keep believing in yourself. It's so important that raises the energy and maintains that energy within yourself, even if you're not there yet, because life is never always there. There's always a greater expansion. There's always a deeper understanding.
There is.
There's always more meaning that you can bring into your life through your actions and your thoughts and your beliefs. And for me, the key element to that is cultivating a greater kindness and love for yourself. Because if you have it for yourself, then you will more naturally have it for others as well. And that creates the expansion within yourself to help generate and move you forward even more. It almost like putting your foot on the accelerator. It accelerates everything, and it brings a greater joy to your life. So give yourself permission to actually listen to your inner guidance. Keep believing in yourself, keep trusting, keep going, and then cultivate a greater self-kindness and self-love that you then share that and generate that out to others.
And I just like to say that, you know, Paul has had such a profound effect on my life, and his kindness and his generosity, I feel it helps me to unfold and to grow and to develop more. And I think that everybody will, you know, if you've got that kind friend, that kind person that you can share with, you know, I think kindness brings out more in us, and it allows us to be more of who we are. So thank you so much for joining us on the show. You know, we can't tell you how much we feel your energy when we're with you.
Always.
And it really inspires us to try and up our game a little bit each show. So we hope that you've enjoyed your time, that you've gained something to help you live more positively and find a little bit more purpose in your life. Now, the next show on December the 2nd is about your superpower. What do you think that is? It is your intuition, and using that inner compass to guide you with wisdom and guidance and clarity to live in a life of much more fulfillment and an extraordinary life. So that's December the 2nd. Intuition guiding you forwards, and that's something we all have, that super power. Paul's going to say by that show.
And, so because Thanksgiving would have happened in America by then, so all those in America who are celebrating Thanksgiving, we send you all our love, and we ask that you enjoy yourselves and create that greater sense of peace and love within those celebrations, and that bringing about that greater upliftment.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and to all our soul family as well.
Yes, friends and family. So just like to say that the live lounge is always free, but if you would like to make a donation, then head over to our website. There's a donation page there. It just helps to support what we're doing, supporting the channel. And we're here for the first and third Wednesdays of every month. So come and join us.
Sign up through the website, www.soulcrew.biz, if you haven't already signed up, because then you'll get your personal invite and reminder to the show. So take care, enjoy living a life with more purpose and meaning. May you feel the love from our hearts to yours. We're sending you all our love in America, in the UK, in Europe. Lots of love. And again, thank you, dear soul family, for sharing your time with us. Have a beautiful rest of your day. See you next time. Lots of love. And for now, take care, and bye from the Soul Crew. Take care. Lots of love. Mwah. Mwah. Love you.
Take care, everybody.